money, and MIBR just sweep them under the rug so that they can keep continuing forward with what is a goose egg on the side of Kingwin's scoreboard. Still 0 rounds.
If we have a round where Kingwin make it a little bit more difficult for MIBR to get that first kill, then we can talk more about strategy. But first things first is like, you can't get opt, right, for the 5v4 without trying to gain some map control, because then you're only trying to get back to 4v4 just so that we can find out what your strategy was intended to be. Now, you can play picks on Dust 2, but they've got to work a little bit harder on making sure that, at the very least, if a kill is had, if the CTs get the kill first, it's traded right away, or they leave with a little bit of map control.
Because that's been the comparison, right? Every time we've seen Team Kingwin actually group up and go for a point of attack, MIBR have always been double set. Look at short last round with Cold and Fallen. Look at mid with Cold and Fur. It seems like Kingwin can never walk into a part of the map where they can only find one player on their own, and if they do, it's quickly, at least supported by a second man in.
Tunnel Peak moving forward from MIBR. It's going to be put in check by Mouse. The rest of his team still to the top of middle, so he's going to feel the pressure here. And I think this is one of the reasons we've seen consistent two-man setups, is because MIBR are playing so proactive. They're constantly making these minute changes. Look at this, a kill from Stewie over towards B, and it's coldzera to come join on the A bomb site. Nobody with eyes on middle, but that's perfectly fine because Kingwin have gotten here before, and they never get any further. Locking down the bomb sites is MIBR's goal once they have these 5v4 situations.
Got coldzera in a spot that's extremely hard to molly out, and because it's so difficult, it's less likely that anyone will throw it here up at Goose. 3 players at A, they've got specific attention to Cat, as we can see how they've kind of created a concave pattern around them, and there's no one at long for Kingwin to come out to. No pit player for MIBR.
It's all a ruse, though. Kingwin have just rallied back towards middle, gone for this fast mid to B play. We haven't seen this actually work successfully yet, and Fur's already on the front lines, locking it down. 2 kills in. Stewie's going to walk through the door just at the right time to drop the bomb for a second time. And Rallan, while he's trying to catch rotation, that's all there is, because MIBR have slaughtered the rest of his team.
There's a lot of dynamic. The setups are very dynamic, right? And that round actually started off, I think, with Stewie and Fur pushing into tunnels with the op at first to get that kill. Incredibly powerful, especially if you think a team's not going to rush B. You don't want your op to start working down the tunnel if it's going to be some kind of execute to come out of there. But as soon as you start closing off that angle, all of the safe spots that you'd think to hold the tunnel push from are really susceptible to getting op. So, they found another opening, and they are choosing the times that they push the CTs very carefully. But it's clear that what they're doing is very calculated. It's almost always working out, paying off.
Yeah, I mean, positioning Fur over towards the scaffolding just welcomes them to do that mid to B play. And sure enough, with his element of surprise, he gets 2 easy kills. Stewie ready for it. And poor Kingwin don't realize whether or not there were CTs still pushed up into the tunnels. So I understand why they would focus on the mid to B play. But MIBR are 1 step ahead in the previous round. And this time, well, they're already a step ahead just due to the nature of this buy. It is pistols and a lot of smokes from Kingwin. They'll have a couple of flashbangs to go with this, but the issue in rounds like this has not been making these kinds of half buys. No, it's been utilizing it properly and getting anything further than this middle door. I don't know if they've even stepped foot past this, and if they have, it hasn't lasted more than 5 seconds.
Ooh, this is a huge bait once again. Fur just in the back, and yeah, now they feel comfortable to go up since he's fallen off, allowing everybody to come out into the slaughterhouse that is the Dust 2 double doors.
I feel like we haven't seen even fast B play through tunnels. Obviously, they're continually attempting to get out mid to potentially go for these mid to B splits, but these pistol rounds are not working in middle for Kingwin. Hopefully, they can try and diversify this a little bit, because you're just going to walk into mid and get wrecked by coldzera and Fur again and again. 3 kills for Cold, 14 in the map. It's actually Fur on 14 kills and 1 death. A single death.
When SK were at their best, when Fur was at his best.
Yeah, right? Especially when, if you actually look at the scoreboard of every game that MIBR has played so far this event, at least in the series, Fur's been at the bottom. Now, obviously, not to put him down for that. You're in a team with superstars, but now he's dominating. And
we also discussed just how close the kill distribution's been. Yeah. So even if he's at the bottom, it's like a maximum of 4 or 5 kills behind. It's so negligible. Everybody's so consistent.
Again, just so impressed with the amount of CT setups there are, and also how they're using the double op setup. I mean, again, if you try to look at yourself from the perspective of the terrorists, you add the fog of war, all the places that you cannot see, think about how terrifying this is. The fact that every time you shoot someone, they're always in a bait setup, like asking for you to go and prod that part of the map, and it's become very difficult for them to even approach Dust 2 from just alone at mid. Then maybe there's the opportunity here for them to spend more attention to taking long control before they start to do anything else. But they don't have many rounds to go and test that.
Look at these two AWPs locking it down. They can't push forward because there's Fallen. They can't escape backwards because there's Stu. Kinguin are penned in like lambs to the slaughter, and there's the second kill already.
Whoa.
It's almost instantaneous. No trade.
I can't remember a round where Kinguin have had the initial man advantage since the first gun round over towards Long A, which was immediately nullified by coldzera's double FAMAS frag. It's just been MIBR unshaken thus far, but again, a bait and switch position. coldzera's behind the blue box, and he's going to get pinned into the duel versus Mouse, but he wins that one too. Rollin left over elsewhere on the map. He's coming back from Cat and trying to find an opening in middle, but Stewie wants the final kill. He wants to put a pin in the final, as it is not the second frag off of Fur.
Yeah, it really is just MIBR completely outclassing Kinguin. This is kind of what we expected, but not this dominantly. You know, you've already talked about the diversity of these setups. MIBR are playing some pretty incredible
I know
CS.
we're getting to the point where we're nearing maybe the end of this map, and I just would like to say, don't jinx it.
Of course not.
All right.
Of course not.
Okay. What were you going to say? What were you going to say,
No,
Stronny?
Me, I was going to, I can't remember.
You put your
It looked
hands up.
important.
Yeah,
it was so,
interrupted
I
you
had my
just-
hands in the air.
He was almost standing.
Almost.
Oh, they actually feigned long control. It's not going to work, though, because the CGs are here. If they were there to fall back at long, this might have worked. But now they're just going to listen and play it like it's going to be some kind of A-split. That's a great flick.
It's a little bit of damage off the first one. Fallen's going to be pressured. There's so many bodies just ahead of him, and he's missed himself a second shot, but Tarek goes for the consecutive spray down, and he is combining with Fallen to turn them away. The fifth man's finally joining in off of the catwalk. He's a little late. Everybody's dead. Fallen, 4 frags. And what I was going to say was that MIBR versus MVP was not nearly as convincing as this matchup. I feel like after having seen that map, which was literally just last night before we went home, and then starting today on this one, this is the real MIBR here on Dust 2.
Yeah, and we've seen 3 different MIBRs. We've seen 4 a.m. MIBR.
Yep.
We've seen 1 a.m. MIBR. And now we're actually getting to see 5 p.m. MIBR. It seems like maybe the earlier you go back, the stronger they get, potentially.
Yeah, looking like it. I love that setup in the previous round as well. Fallen was sitting close, and Manish was pushed up on the site next to him, but Fallen's focusing on short while Tarek has his cover from the back of the car. I mean, these double plays from MIBR are flawless. So much trust in your team, and hey, I can see why. They are 12-0 up. What have Kinguin got in this round? They've got to try and pull something out of the hat because there's only 3 left of the half, and this is going to be one of their 2 buys. And AWP is back in the hands of Manish, although no one has been finding these opening kills, as you say, Connor. This time, though, MIBR putting some focus on middle. We've yet to see too much aggression down short, but they'll give it up fairly early, wait for Team Kinguin to walk into them, and it will be towards the A site, but MIBR are 1 step ahead. Already 4 players here.
Yeah, they had that 3-man stack towards Cat, which then translates fantastically into an A hold. If long A is in fact where Kinguin are coming in from, then they are still going to be fine in terms of position, but it's going to come down to the kills. There's an exchange right away. Fallen and Tarek once more on the kill feed here for the defense, and it is even. Mauzino coming in from middle has the CTs a little bit split up here. We have to watch Fallen retreat towards Cat, while all the while coldzera holds towards site, and he has the element of surprise. They may have bomb, but he's got them lined up. It's going to be the clutch for the 13th. Fallen, can you close this?
He actually made the big rotate really early, so mentally I think that's going to give him a bit more time than he'd expect. The Malzino now kind of keeping an eye on it, but I assume he might get a little bit lazy. It's the op again that is going to appear, and now Fallen's actually quite low, and Malzino finishes it 1v2 and puts Kinguin on the board, and as they say, the first one's the hardest.
Yep. Now, how strong can they finish this first half? It's the one time I feel as though Kinguin actually kept all 5 of their players alive past that minute mark, and also were given so much real estate before the bomb site. Normally they were held back towards the top of middle, or we'd see Stewie get a kill towards Tons. This time they were right on that long cross before they all committed, and in doing so, they've won a round.
Kinguin only had one player surviving from that previous. You know what would suck right now? If MIBR bashed them back and we have a $1,400 buy for that last round of the half. But no, maybe not today, because Rallen, he's opened up this time. Finally, Kinguin with an untraded man advantage, because Cold is shielded by the smoke. It's going to start to fade, so he will get an opportunity to fire on back, but can he find the kill? That's a yes. Tarek's even moved in for support, but still Kinguin hold this man advantage.
They've lost the bomb site, though.
Yeah, they lost the bomb site. The solo player in B, the other one was just at mid to catch anybody coming through, but they had no plans to have anyone rotate, so it was imperative that Stewie was able to stay alive inside the site. So this might give them that really elusive 2 in a row. History would definitely not tell you in this map that there was any chance they'd be able to put it together like this, but they did. Unfortunately, they only get to, you know, revel in this for one more round, though.
Yeah, no utility for the T's to try and lock down this bomb site, so they will be at the will of MIBR. Start to move this utility forward. Fallen still patiently looking for some kind of a kill, and he hits the no-scope for the damage. Poor Taz, before seeing anyone's dropped. And then it's coldzera to come in with a duo of frags, so Fur from above denied. Manais has this, so it seems, because Fallen's got something to say. And Mauzino will clutch this one out. It's back-to-back rounds for Kinguin. They could even finish with the third.
Hey, it may have come down to the wire, but 2 rounds is 2 rounds, and Kinguin is certainly going to be happy with that. It gives him a bit more of a chance to fight back on that second half. Still, of course, extremely reliant on the pistol round, but aren't they always? Kinguin's pistols have actually been pretty fantastic so far this event, consistently putting them up. Obviously, this is a different kind of game to what they've been expecting, but maybe they can bounce back in that second half. However, one more opportunity here. Taz with the SMG, the fast rifle play down long for Mauzino, and 3 players on the other side. Good luck.
Definitely would like to see the Twiggerous stats on how many kills were untraded for Kinguin, as well as, you know, how many times it was that MIBR got the opening kill successfully. And in these last 2 rounds, you know, it was these kind of initial opening plays that changed the game for Kinguin, allowed them to get that, get a bit of traction to start the round off, give themselves a chance in the mid to late, and that they, you know, I don't think that's going to change for the 3rd round. That's definitely just, you know, a high value tier 1 Counter-Strike imperative.
And it's nice to see MIBR not over-abusing this aggression, right? They throw it in every now and then, but it's not like consistently every single round, and it's always in different parts of the map, keeping Kinguin guessing. Stewie with his 2nd tunnels push in the entire half, and again, it works out. Element of surprise. And now Kinguin, they've got to pull themselves out of this rut. Fallen with a great angle. He sees the legs as they pass and takes the kill to Rallen. Trade not going to connect there for Manise. He gets the tag onto Stewie, but he's going to have ample time to escape with the help of a flashbang, but no escape needed for Stewie.
So you get 1 shot to kill Stu.
Yeah.
Okay, take him down or fall prey. He even seals the deal. Stewie dropping bodies towards the doors where we watched Kinguin fall a multiple round here in the first 15. What a solid start. And it was 12 straight before finally Kinguin made something of a fight. 2 rounds is not a lot to work with. Not at all. And here's the scary thing. You could choose any portion of the map as a terrorist to try and isolate duels. You could try and, you know, just aim for Stewie, just fixate on Fur. But now the entirety of this lineup can come barreling towards you at any given moment. And I don't know, when I look at this Kinguin roster, who is going to stop that.
Hopefully they've got enough hair gel. So keep him confident for the rest of this map.
Deep in discussion, though. Kinguin with a game plan, or at least Taz certainly does. Looking frustrated, but you can't let this get you to heart. Even if it is your map pick, getting bashed on this, you just got to try and reset if this map doesn't work out. However, they're so aware of the importance of this 16th round. Maybe, just maybe, Kinguin can start to pull things back. However temperamental that may be, but it all depends on this one single round.
And then many after.
Yeah. The difference is, if they don't win this round, they definitely lose the game. If they win this round, they might potentially not lose this game as fast.
Yeah, it's a lot of what ifs, but you are right, Hugo. Can all begin with 1. In terms of the last pistol round, well, it was just, of course, an obliteration versus Kinguin. It was the B site hold that Stewie and Fur used to get a 4v1 scenario. From there, we again watch the momentum just slide so quickly. You know, Launders, I'm just going to say it. Even though none of us jinxed the fact that there was a potential 16-0 in the making, the round after you warned us not to even say it was the first time Kinguin won something. So it's law of attraction, and I'm going to put the blame on you.
Listen, Hugo didn't even know what I was talking about.
I know. It's all right.
So there's no way that was a jinx.
I'm insulted.
Did you know?
What about the jinx?
What I was talking about?
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know you were talking about 16-0.
There we go.
Winning
See?
the game.
I was very subtle, Connor. I'm a very subtle guy.
Smooth.
Clearly not well enough. Kinguin have 2 rounds.
Okay.
And they're looking for a third as well. Pistol round under play. Full armor for Kinguin. Can't be affording to let a bomb go down, but if we got that deep in the round, I wouldn't have too much hope anyway. MIBR, they're settled pretty passive for the time being. There's still even the bomb in spawn. Fallen, he's the one with the utility.
As is Tarek towards the outer doors, which
I don't even know. You know, nobody's Glock comes equipped to do that consistently.
My Glock never does that.
Right. Well, my Glock never does that.
Maybe it's not the Glock.
Okay. The mouse?
Yeah.
Need more Logitech gear.
The Reed's positioned to help out on the catwalk. They're actually in a really good spot to try and contest tunnels if the push goes forward for MIBR. So they could very well catch them on full display. If MIBR aren't too cautious of this flank, yeah, they could very well fall victim to this.
This setup is sick for Kinguin. They might completely catch him off guard. Miles only has to delay by getting a kill or 2, but that Molotov is going to force him forward. Taz on the back line, he does open up, but it might be too late. This B site already hard to retake, and MIBR are crawling over it.
Here comes Manais just on the side of the smoke. Taz and Rollin with a couple of headshots cuts this down into the 4v2, but the health is so low. Fallen's already got himself the first one. 3 left to connect, and he just can't do it. Kinguin have got themselves a little wiggle room here in the second half.
Sick read. I think a lot of that is especially down to the fact that Coldzera gets a first dink down on long, but then they see him back off. So under the awareness that maybe they don't want to commit towards that A play, because why would you give up the long control that you already have if you're cold unless you're going for B?
Definitely a good read. A lot of value in going for that information, and we saw that because Tarek was out there at long to go and take first contact, or sorry, cold, excuse me, to get all that damage in. They were really just trying to avoid a situation where they might get flanked too early, and still couldn't have that. So it's good to see Kinguin are still ready to play their game, not playing too scared, have earned themselves the chance at a CT side where we'll see a rifle at the very minimum. So now all of this round, 2 scouts, an AK on Coldzera, 2 deagles, and a very spread out default, everybody taking an angle.
Kinguin have all sorts of map control. Player committed to the pit. Little floater on a ramp. Whoa, but it's the initial damage towards middle. It all comes out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden we're left in a 5v4 with many players tagged. You can see the tension. There's your first point of contact, and look at the shifting already here from Kinguin. They're making moves over towards long, throwing another man down range to replace Manais, getting Rollin out of position since he is a liability here on 22 health.
We start to reach the tipping point. 40 seconds here for MIBR. They've still got a plethora of utility as well to expend towards his site. Bomb's already worked its way out mid. Kinguin aren't going to be contesting that due to the early damage done. They've held this far more passively. Got Manise sat in the spawn, ready and waiting for this push to come through, but they do have a smoke for the cross.
Yeah, and because they're playing right side mid, it leaves them in a really awkward spot if there's some kind of mid to B presence. This is going to feed into their fear a little bit as they walk out the smoke to help them cross, and now they get to crunch 2 players sitting in the site with no Molotovs to defend.
9 seconds up as well. Fur's going to find the entry. That's big. The second one found from Fallen, and this site is just completely caved open. But yeah, no time. They haven't got the bomb down. It's a lost round.
That's a decision they could have made earlier, and they didn't because no one made the call.
Ooh. No one pulled the trigger. You saw it being pieced together. You saw them just like sharks swarming and circling there towards the bottom of middle. They moved him a couple of men through tons before they wanted to fully commit, and it was that slowed movement that cost them.
They literally couldn't have gotten smoother entries and still couldn't plant the bombs.
Exactly.
So that means they had no time from the time of execution to win the round, which looking back means they probably shouldn't have executed in the first place.
Well, Kinguin pick up a 4th round because of that. It comes from the error of MIBR. Kinguin still were unable to hold off the offense. So we'll see if they can replicate this with another round. It's not going to be easy as they are once more in a 4 versus 5. Manais retreating through CT with eyes on mid. And you can also see Mauzino through the B bomb site is floating between watching tunnels and mid doors. It's a very difficult position for him to be in if he was under pressure. But MIBR have no stake at the B bomb site. They are currently putting the job on Stewie. He, with the scope up, will attempt to find a pick on A. And if he does swing wide, it's going to be Taz with an ump. So talk about a disadvantage in terms of guns. Taz will have to let him walk forward. And this is big. At least getting a 4v4 situation takes a little bit of pressure off of Kinguin as they still hold on. MIBR playing with time once again.
It's going to be that drop to the CT spawn. Fallen's caught by Taz at range. That UMP actually having a lot of effect. And that drops the bomb in no man's land. MIBR are going to have to continue to drop down and try and pick that one back up. But with limited utility and limited time, this is not looking good for the Brazilian-American mix. Reitz is even going to follow up with another frag. And MIBR are being pounded out this round. Tarek's all that's left. And with 20 seconds up, that's surely over.
Showing a total inability to cross cat, because they couldn't pick out even one of the threats. One man and game helper on site, one over at long, all able to stay alive, all able to take shots. And it was really important that MIBR just kind of were able to group up, slide over together, take the angles one at a time, and when they lost fights, just continued to move. So gaining ground was their main priority.
Losing the 5v4 was the first move that started to let this one slip through the fingertips of the T side. Losing your catwalk entry player, and then as well that one sole long A allocation makes it all the harder. One by one, Kinguin found themselves in an advantage and closed out the round off at the top of it. Now Reitz is dodging flashbangs and calling for his teammate to come help him out. It is just Pistols ahead, but it is Major Champions with Pistols now dead. A 3rd one denied as Stewie clears pit, but Manais is still here. He understands that all the players are out there. He's got the support behind him, so he's probably not going to shy away, but that's going to give the chance for Stu to duel. Unfortunately, removed as he attempted to just launch down into the pit. Tarek, the last man up again this round. 3 targets ahead and little health to play with.
He's so scared to peek. I don't blame him.
One of those games you wonder where you're like, at this point, it's like, well, what if Kinguin started T side or CT side in the first half? Would they have looked better? Would they have looked sharper? Would they have looked smarter?
I think we're very early into this to really tell. We haven't had MIBR in a full buy round yet. This is the first. They've taken into account had all these forced buys, and then that second round where they forced after the bomb plant, they saved 4 guns or 3 guns because they lost after time. So they went, what, lose pistol, double force by 1 eco, and here we are now. So this is the culmination of that.
And the start on their T side last night versus MVP was also sort of slow. They had to get a couple of gun rounds in before they managed to work it out.
That's such a good way to do that.
Very safe.
We've seen a lot of new stuff this event, I've got to say. Like
That's
new,
true.
New smokes I've not seen, new boosts I've not seen.
Thank you, player break.
Yeah.
Yeah, all you need is like, spend a little time, Anders it out, theory strike.
Well, it's the short play for MIBR again. This time a little bit better equipped than the last. They actually are going to get tapped by that nade, but the kill does work out. Fur, caught in the corner's got to move back. There's not one of those flames to send him packing. Kinguin already low on utility, down to just 3 flashbangs, but MIBR starting to lose time. 50 seconds on the clock, but still committed towards this A site.
The difference is this time Kinguin only have 2 players towards this long A-hall, and one of which wants to keep his eyes towards long. Remember, keeping that long push at bay is the reason Taz was able to lock down this bomb site last time Kinguin won around here. But because they are at this pressured position, they shall go on the offense instead. And it does allow for a trade frag to go back and forth. It's still going to keep MIBR in an advantage, but it's also going to bait Manice into the open. He was blind and cooked. But Fallen, ripped by Rollin, doesn't see him just on the edge of the smoke, so this is still anybody's round.
Yeah, there's such limited time. The bomb just going down within the last few seconds, and now Kinguin, they've got a real chance here, but Tarek's already on the flank. They try and boost, and Burr cuts it down. Tarek drops the bottom man, and that is it. MIBR, 14 rounds. It may have been a slow start, but they finally got into overdrive.
How did you feel about that kind of adventure that the CT side started to throw towards Catwalk?
Yeah, so when the op started to reaggress, it was like a kind of an awkward spot. I think that it was good for MIBR that they flashed it. I mean, maybe Manice gets a kill and falls back if he's not blind, and from there it's a different round. But I think that they were most afraid because they actually were down a man in that situation. So even though they had a lot of A presence, they maybe didn't want to lose an opportunity for MIBR to actually go A, and maybe the op could have helped them encourage that. But overall, there's the way to look at the round like, oh, it was clear MIBR wanted to go A, and if they had just sat in their spots, that would have been a big trap. So, you know, it's hard. You know, you don't get to play out both circumstances.
Well, this is the bottom of the barrel for Kinguin in terms of weaponry and rounds. 3 CZs, only 2 rifles, and not enough utility to even worth noting. This is going to have to come down to winning some serious duels, but up against the likes of MIBR that seem invaluable when it comes down to trading, it's going to be easier said than done. Again, short play, MIBR consistently pushing up here, and on the other side, a lone CZ is all that stands.
Yeah, at least when Taz was in this position and at a disadvantage with a gun, his ump could give him a chance to spray down the initial players. The CZ's just going to put Manice in a terrible position. He's going to walk forward instead, caught out into the open. He tries to escape by ejecting downwards, but he will find himself with no head. And off of that, we're going to get MIBR going for the entry. So the bomb is in tow. Site is completely secured, and while long A most certainly belongs to Reitz, what is Kinguin going to do about this?
Certainly find out soon. They seem to kind of want to wait to see if they can get set up properly. Why is nobody rotating? We've got our number 8 man.
I just don't think they ought to go for it. They've got no kit. They've already got a weak buy as it is, and MIBR are armed to the teeth and all over the site. Kinguin, they're just looking for exits. Trying to grab guns as MIBR leave, and while Taz has already taken 1 kill off the back of the CZ-75, it's a small consolation because MIBR are still going for this. Taz doubling down. He's been so good with his gun during this entire event, consistently finding multi-frags with the CZ, but his life is short-lived.
So 3 get away near unscathed. Kinguin are going to have a 9-round comeback to make happen. We saw some life from them at the start of the CT side, but now it has to be flawless.
That's an interesting, I mean, they saved, but they had like 3 people who were alive with CZs still. So, you know, they could have been a little bit more aggressive and taken a risk in trying to get some like guns to actually bring into this round, because now Taz still only has a CZ, and he was one of the players who was in CT spawn trying to get a kill, but could have been dropped potentially, and oh, Fallen hitting a pick in the most honest way possible, straight through the middle of the doors, no wall bang involved. Man advantage early now for MIBR. What could be the last round of the first map of the grand finals here at ZOTAC Cup.
And no trade once again for Kinguin. A constant problem they've had. Even further aggression. Stu's going to catch 2 pushing into the tunnels, and just like that, Kinguin are down to 1 man.
But the bomb can't move right now. It's Taz who worked the CZ at the start of this to try and do something more, but he had way too much to handle. And MIBR will pick up map 1 on their opponent's choice. I do respect Kinguin trying to go for Dust 2. I think that's going to give us a good sense as to where the individual players may be standing in terms of form. And there was something to praise on both sides, but it was just such a lopsided affair from the get-go. MIBR started very hot, and because of that, they will find themselves with an initial win.
Yeah, it seemed like the real only chance at a long series start came with Dust 2. They have to play Cash next. It's going to be an even tougher beast, but I mean, on the bright side, I mean, I think that they can't do much worse than Dust 2, so maybe they can show us something.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to see Kinguin at least trying to break down that previous game, but they've got to be ready to move on to that next one, try and get it out of your heads. MIBR are already behind the scenes, and Kinguin still sitting around and trying to work out what all went wrong.
Yeah, I'd hope that, you know, there's always a philosophy, right? Do you stop and talk about the problems that happened on this map, or do you use all of the limited time you have right now to start just, you know, fixating on what comes and just clear your mind? You can discuss after the fact once you move forward with, you know, further events, but for now, they'll have to figure things out because it's not going to be all